Hey, my name's Randy Wittes. That's the 67 Chevelle in my shop. It's dirty, cluttered, whatever. But that's what happens when you work on stuff. Well, in the last video, we built some brackets for our hinges to attach to our inner tubs. And that's 18 gauge sheet metal. And you see the bracket maybe up in there. Doesn't look like it. Anyhow, you get the point, and they work. See, up and down. So now we're going to put on the old trunk lid and start fitting all our gaps and everything, and finally getting our quarters on. So see you in a minute. Ready, set, go. No. Whoopsie. Gonna hurt. Well, that's always fun. Hopefully I didn't bend that hinge with that in there. And if there's anybody that works alone, you know what I'm talking about. As far as putting hoods on, deck lids, let's see where we are. I just centered them as best I could. This side looks the same, kind of. It's actually a little tight up here. So that's all right. Get a little tool. Yeah, we gotta move up a tad. Side's gotta come back a tad. Yeah, we're really tight here. So this is just clamped in place. I made it fit that and that over there as best I could. Now we gotta play around with the trunk lid. Get it shifted where we want it. Basically, I need to take that striker out so it's not pushing one way or the other. I don't know if you, in the last video, I mentioned when you're welding stuff in, such as my hinges, that I needed to shim this up a little bit because things will sag after I put them in. But they sagged back to perfect, almost perfect, you know. That's not perfect, that wasn't perfect, but that's what we're working on now. And I'm going to, you know, gap's better here, not so much here. This needs to come over this way because the gap is tight here, it's tight here. So we essentially have to move the deck lid like so. And it's always fun. Loosen a little, move a little, like, you know, you think you moved it a little and you didn't move it any, you know, back and forth, back and forth. So I'm going to work on that and I'll be right back. All right, so we've spent probably 15 minutes trying to get it back to where it was. And we are close. Little thingy. We're close. That's kind of like it was. That is off. I don't know if you can see, but it's off by about a little less than 1/8 of an inch, roughly. This one's on. That's good. The cap is good-ish. Gap's looking better. This is gap's back to where it normally was. So this has got to come back to meet this. This gap's getting better as it goes across that way. But our dilemma is it's too far back. So if we move it forward, we essentially have to move this back forward. But you see that's getting better. So, and you wonder why, well, Andrew, I think it's only 1/8 of an inch. What's the big deal? I'm gonna show you. We put that little molding on here. And this is what I've seen with a lot of cars, and especially, and this is a factory molding, which I have upside down. And I have to get the aftermarket moldings because they're going to be different. All right. Well, basically, what I'm getting to is when that molding goes on there like so, you see how far it sticks out? Is somebody going to pick up on that? Maybe. But I will. And, you know, if I have to live with something like that, you know, might have to. But look at this one. And that's bolted on. Boom. Straight across. Doesn't that look much better? So what may happen, what we may have to look at, that was tight. Maybe that would make a difference. Let me check that again. Let me check that one more time. Yeah, it's off. I have to cut here. I could maybe cut pull this in. That's a lot of work just for that. And I'm not sure. Anyway, a lot of thinking, a lot of just moving 1/16 by 1/16. I need to get this better. It's clamped underneath, so that means I got to open the trunk. So, see you in a minute. All right, hour later. have not fixed that issue. I've been thinking about that. A lot of time wasted just thinking, and you know, okay, if you move it this way, what's it going to do this way or that way? The other thing is, well, again, it's within a 16th. I also remembered there are gaskets that go in here. So, these are old and flattened and useless. So I have to get new gaskets, and basically I'm thinking that will pull this out and it will meet that. Other dilemma. This one, since it's flush, we put a gasket on it, it'll be out. Do we have room here to adjust this deck lid this way? We do. Right here we do. Right here we do not. That's as close as I want to get right there. It clears. That's a good gap. And also down there at that end, okay, you see how the gap turns this way on this panel. It turns that way away from the deck lid and gets bigger, like it does here. It's not what I want. We'll be fixing it. But it's easier to add a little metal versus trying to take it away. Well, I mean, I can grind it away, actually. But then, you know, anyway, you know what I mean. Either way, there's welding involved, so I guess it's really no different. But to try to make a gap and grind the whole flange off is harder than just add a little bit. Okay, so we're zeroing in. Now, little secret. These are just clamped, this panel's just clamped down. Trying to get this flush as much as possible here on the radius. And, I mean, that could come back some, according to that. But that's it might. Things tend to move around on you. Trying to again, if I move this back, it closes that a little bit more. Oh, dilemmas. Anyway, clamping this in place. The flange on this panel that comes down, and then the flange on the quarter panel that comes down. There's a little, right at the end of it, there's a little cup on it. Part of that I ground off. I think it was on the quarter panel. Because it's hard to clamp, especially if you have those. They won't fit in there. That's the clamp I need, but it won't fit in there because then it would ride on that little flange. Part of this, like I said, I ground it off and it fit on this side, not so much on that side, here nor there. I used different clamps with a smaller clamping space, but the clamping power to pull this in together was not as good. It wanted to just make a dimple and then leave a space, kind of like that. Right here is a brace that welds in on the quarter panel from your old quarters, so don't forget that. And that's got that little edge on it that makes it difficult to clamp down on. So I had to use a piece of metal. About that wide, and I welded two pieces together out of scrap so I could hold it and clamp it at the same time right in this area, and that's as good as I can get it to do. I don't like it. You know, everything's difficult. So, trying to clamp it, push it down, make everything level. It's fun. And that's where we are there. Are we level? Well, no. Because we haven't worked the deck lid completely. The deck lid, it's not quite level either. So we're working on it. We're just trying to make things fit. So I've got to come over to this side. This side's a little high, it seems. So I need to push this down and try to clamp it at the same time. This one's doing much better. Why that one's being so difficult, I don't know. This side is, you know, my nightmare in one aspect. This aspect, freaking great. So, scratching my head and thinking, what next? Okay, gotta go back over there. Oh, this is what I was gonna do. Once they're clamped, sometimes you can get away with, you have to be careful, you're gonna dent these things because, you know, thin metal. But if you get this close to the edge and give it a little, it may move for you. Did that move? I don't know. Did it? Did that move? Doesn't feel bad. You know, the issue is this has a taper this way, then it goes into the deck lid, which this should just be a nice taper down, in my opinion. It feels pretty decent. Doesn't always work that way. Yeah, we moved. All right, good. See how flat that is right there? How about that, huh? This is a little wonky in here, though. It kind of goes up. It's got a little, I don't know if you can see it, a little roller coaster ride right there. But that's what we're working on. This is what takes hours. See you in a minute. Hey, something you have to watch for on the Chevelle deck lids. I moved this back, probably too much now, to be honest with you. But it's about the same as the other side. Should be the same. Yeah. So they have an issue with the deck clearance right here. So you have to remember, all right, we've got body filler, we've got primer, we've got base coat, clear coat, and we've got that much room because of how that is designed right there. And that's not completely adjusted out. So see, I mean, yeah, that's where it's clearing. It's just that That right there is where it's tough. So the question is, see right there that it would be hitting. Do I back this back up a little bit, fill this in, leave the gap wider? Do I leave this, make this gap bigger? That's a lot more work out that way. See, I could go forward a smidge, but they're the same on each side. And right there. Let's split that open that much. And this one's not up like that one is over there. See how it's up right there? This one's not up. All right. And I'm not clamped. This has to go down some for me to clamp it. What's that do out there? Well, it opens that up. More fiddle farting around. All right, after doing the fiddle farting, we got that pretty well, I think, where we want it for the moment. Now, I am just seeing if I had a cleco right there, and I do not. I'm fiddle farting with this again right here because I need to get everything lined up, pinned, and you know, that's where it's going to stay before I weld, obviously. And I needed to get this right here, this curve on this was not matching the light. So I did a little flattening in through here. Got a little low spot here now, but you know, we'll work on that. Just trying to get the edge. You always want to get your edges good. This can be worked out. So, I don't know if you remember, this was sticking way up. What I did, took my two clecos out of here, put a little piece of metal right there in the corner. You can see it. See the metal? And it's right against here. So I got this up to about right there, and then it rolled in that way, and that rolled in that way, and that's why it gave me that big edge. So currently I'm trying to figure this out. I want to lock it in like right here. I'll release my pressure until this comes back to flush, and we'll lock that in somehow with a cleco, or you know, I don't know. And what I was trying to do is get all this to fit before I did any of this slicing here to make this fit. And the reason being is I can't get up in here good if I have to do any welding. I can't get to this corner to get any epoxy on it. So my plan is get everything fitting, cut, welded, whatever, and then yank the quarter off and get to the back so I can epoxy it. You know. Okay, so that's the plan. Let's see if I can get a Cleco in here, right here, and that would be right there. Well, that means I gotta drill a hole right there. It didn't sound very double panel-ish. Probably hit a hole, I'm sure. Now, let's do another, just in case. Okay. Maybe it did, I just, you know, wasn't paying attention. But 2's better than 1 anyway. All right. Gonna loosen this up, and we're gonna see where this goes. Well, that was the plan. That stayed, this came in. That came in. And I gotta find a piece of metal. I'm sure it went down. Yep, there it fell out the bottom. All right, that's fine. That's fine. We'll deal with that. Wow. Make some kind of progress here. Some kind of progress. So have that. Actually, a little big. That's okay. Our gap is the same all the way up. Not so drastic right here. Yeah, that's still that way, and that one kind of fits the same, and you know, happy mediums. All right, so that's locked in. I think I'm gonna open that back up and put a couple here. So that'll be locked in. Love these little things. Great. All right. Okay. Things change a little. Gap changed a little. Can't compare it to that one because it's not there. But it's straight up and down. But actually, that. I don't like it. I don't like it. Keeps moving. And what I'm saying is this is a little bit higher than that. You know, yeah, is it just I want it flat. And the clecos have nothing to do with this. This can move because it's bolted in from the back side. And actually, I was bumping around earlier, so I know it'll move. But it could be maxed out, but anyway. Happy mediums. Let's see where we are. Making progress. Where's my little gapper? Well, little gapper. That's not it. There it is. Bring it over. Close my gap. Close this gap. See, and the other thing that you want to keep in mind, you say, well, just, you know, fill that gap, Randy, put some welding rod on the edge of that trunk lid and fill the gap. Let me show you what the problem is with that. If you fill the gap, you have a molding that won't fit the trunk. Because your molding currently comes in that range. All right. See, it already comes like right to the edge. So if you were to weld this up more, and this isn't in a terrible amount, but it's, well, it's almost an eighth, maybe 16th of an inch. So that's something you have to keep in mind. You'll end up out here with the edge of your deck lid, trunk lid, hood, if you've got a molding that goes on the front. Pretty. So we're gonna keep fiddle farting around. Be back. Okay, still fiddle farting. I tapped it down to make that, you know, as close as I could. And then that is not as close as it could be anymore. That's a good, that far off. So, we're gonna do a little tapping again. Come in real handy. Yeah, I love this kind of stuff. It's great. All right. Got that where we need it. Now that's off by a lot. This is good. This, well, it was. I mean, this is good. From here to here, that's good. Okay. Now we have to figure out what to do with that. And as you can tell, that just kind of goes here. So what do you do with that? I don't know. That might be one of those. See, that's off. I do not want to split this right here. If anything, I'd have to split it here. I'm thinking, and lift this section up and have that meet that, and then fill the gap, which would basically be like a pie shape in a sense. So let's just measure that. And we're going off the 2. So the 2 to 4.5. So 2 to not 4.5. And 2 to 4.5. Actually a little bit more. Oh, that's a definite defect in that quarter. This is, you know, we've fought the heck out of this. So, all right. Back to, that's good. That could stay that way. We're doing less work here. We'll have stuff to cut that and cut that. Pull that forward. And we might, look at that, lift the trunk up and look at it. Might be able to just hammer and dolly that little corner. So, let me look at it. All right. I don't want to beat the heck out of that. I'm going to kind of softly touch up that corner. Thinking, if you can see that, you can see that that little corner is just kind of sticking out. Okay, that looks and feels better. It's still a little high right there, but we've got this to deal with. Plus this is a little high this way, that way. All right. Yep, proof's in the pudding. Big gap, no gap, good gap. So, why that just like, thing is, you know, I was thinking to, yeah, I'll just add to the deck lid. But, you know, I'm not, deck lid's straight, looks good. It's this that's all messed up. So what it looks like is to cut the quarter along here to then pull this over, which is make the split bigger. You fill it with, put the welding rod in there, make your gappage, which saves me from welding on the trunk lid. And that would fix my gap. To a point. But I'm gonna have to look at that a little bit more. See where we're gonna exactly go with that. And need to keep an eye on this. And we've got to cut that, lift that up. Maybe. We just got to keep fiddle farting around. Okay, so been picking away. Can't pick any more at this. It's just not going to. It's not going to work because, as you can see, put a straight edge along that, and quarter panel is not straight. Only way to fix that would be cut into here, move that over, blah, blah, blah. This is probably going to get welded up anyway. We'll see. Picking away at the heights. That's just, you know, touching, and picking away at this. So we've got this nice. You can see that. Now the quarter kind of curves in. So, you know, we're working on it. And again, quarter kind of curves in, but we got the edge where we want it. This has actually come up quite a lot. Okay. We've got our style line there. Okay. And this has come up some. This has changed a lot. Of course, I did tap that over some. This gap is good. Okay. Obviously that's not, but you know, something I want to show you in a perm I picked up from a gentleman. The gap inside is kind of lazy, meaning it's not straight up and down. It's like that. It leans out. So the way to fix that, and that's how he did it, is cut along here, right along that edge, and tilt it out. And if you tilt it out and bring it straight up and down, look what happens to the gap. And you fill this, your cut, because it's going to get bigger, probably with an 1/8 inch welding rod, but that's going to bring it right to the trunk within, you know, within that much. And that's basically, that's what it needs to do, is come over that far. So, but right now what I need to do is, because I have a jack pushing this section out from the inside, that's what pulled that over as well. I need to lock it in. First one was didn't hit a good spot. Probably hit a hole. Okay. Well, actually, I said I was going to not cut anything, but see, before I welded the quarters on, that's not true. As long as everything's held into place, and then I can put it back into place once I do my cutting. That's what I want. I've got the Cleco, so it'll go exactly where it was, because I want to treat this up here, and up here, wherever I end up cutting it, right here, because see, I can't get to it. Otherwise, it's back in there. So I want to treat that before I put it back on. All right, so this is the part I've tried not to do, but we got to do it. Alrighty, I don't like my cut there, but I should have gone a little closer to that edge. Oh well, we can weld it up, you know. Okay. Now let's see what we can accomplish here. Anything? Yeah, cut that bad. I should have cut it right here. Now I'm trying to bend all that metal versus that little bit of metal. All right, well, we got that where we want it. There, that broke loose, that's what I needed. Get a piece of wire, stick in there, and then we'll work on this. Be right back. All right, well, I got a little piece of wire there. Sure, I like how that edge is fitting. Okay, a little tack weld. I'm going to try to play with that. See, now our gap's closed. I'm going to try to play with, oh boy, the height of it. The height, I should be able to, Gotta keep checking that. That's okay. Dang, I wish I'd have cut that in the right spot. It aggravates me. I know that's not. That's ugly. Don't do this at home. Do it in the right spot, and you'll still have a little problem, but I don't think it'd be as hard. That made it easier. Need to okay. A lot of poking and picking around. Now I'll fill this in. I'll fill that in. Just trying to get the levelness of that. And let me show you. The issue really is, it's not just the end. You can see in there, but it's the whole quarter. And you see how it's moving and where it's moving. So, yeah, I can twist it up like so. It's probably just gonna fall back. It's gonna depend on this. I need to probably raise this area up. Well, actually, hold it. Let me try this. Let me try this. All right. Okay, now, see that right there? Feels better. A couple little dimples in there. We gotta fix. That's okay. Okay. Okay, well that all probably went back down because I was beating on it. It feels like it did. You just do something and then it just goes right back to where it was. Pretty good there and there. Not perfect there. It's okay. Crap we can work with. A lot better than it was. This corner's all split on the inside. You gotta weld it up, no biggie. A lot better than it was. Better than that was. No more gap here. So, I broke my weld here or not, can't tell. But I'll do something for that. I'm going to put a piece of wire in. And wow, tough wire. And tack weld it like so. I don't have a good spot to weld from. Yep, no ground. All right, making progress. Little by little. And this is what we're looking at. Style line. Style line right there. The edge. And we got a little work to do, I think, here. I mean, you know, filler's gonna do some stuff. Can't make it perfect with the steel. As I weld up the whole corner and then grind it and file it back, and I ain't doing all that. So, where are we? Okay. That's where we are. Not sure what that's catching on. Oh, it's part of the quarter panel right there. Not sure why that tightened up like that. Little room, no room. That's okay. We'll make that work. So, progress. What I didn't want to do, but sometimes you got to do it, and we're not done. Well, that's quite flimsy now. suck that gap right up in there. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Get this one in there. Now, what I need to do is get the tape off. Cleaning the primer off. I'm gonna clean the primer off, then I'm gonna start setting that gap. I'll be right back. Okay, just so you can see what I'm doing, to weld a gap like this, a little tack. Basically, I extend it out like so. I'm aiming for that edge right there. Just a little tack. Then another little tack, and you bridge it. That's how you get your little tack. Alrighty, boys and girls. There you go. There's a gap. Pretty consistent. Got a little bit of play, and I think I'm okay with that because it's the same all the way down except for right here. And we'll fix that. So same all the way up. Pretty close to whatever that is. This, not sure what I can do. Because realistically, we should be going from this edge right here, this one, to here. So we should have that much and that much. So I may have to add from here on around to here. One way or the other. Might be, I might add in here. So that kind of sharpens that a little bit more like this. Not, you know, I can't even get that down in there. We'll see. But progress. I like my ground. Making things happen. I'll go through and put more tacks in. Get that all, you know, tightened up. The gap I'm not too worried about. I might throw rod in there on the bigger gap. You know what I mean? And if I can get in behind it with my little copper disc thingy, whatever they call it, anyhow. All right, so more progress. See you in a bit. All right, I want to accomplish something today, so I'm gonna weld this up right here, and I'm gonna weld this up. So let's clean some epoxy off and get busy. Okay, little indentation there. Really don't care. What I'm concerned about is any little edges or pits or holes, any of that kind of stuff. And yeah, I left the light on. So shine a light from outside, and I don't see anything. So hopefully that's good. We don't have any issues. And that right there is minuscule. That's actually a little high. Feels like minuscule. All right. Be back in a minute. Okay, I'm spot welding closer together. I'm keeping this level. I have a copper biscuit, as they call it, underneath, clamped underneath. Helps keep that level, as well as I can weld on that little copper thing and fill the gap up nice and easy. Not that the gap is huge, because if I just were to bring that wire out a little bit farther and hit that side, and it would bridge across just like I did before. It's not that big of a deal, but this just makes it easy. See? Make sure you don't, press something up too bad. Anyway. Yeah, okay. And it keeps you from, goobering and shoot wire through the gap and all that other kind of stuff. So, you get the idea. This is the other thing, is I can just go along and fill that gap. No big deal. And I'm sure professional welders can do the same thing. But we all know I'm not professional. There you go. It's warm. Don't do that at home. So I'll move around, and that was a long stitch. The copper will help absorb some of that heat as well. I'm going to show you the difference of welding a gap, and I'm not going to do this big one. I'm going to do a smaller one. But if you start at midway of that first spot and then continue on, let them cool in between, you should be able to keep filling it. So there's that. And yeah, I can do the same on these. I've done it before. Just the little biscuit thing. Like I said, it keeps you from, when you mess up a little bit, and I think you probably heard me mess up, keeps you from burning a big hole and shooting the wire down through the gap. And then you got to do that, and you got to clean stuff up on the back, and just the feeling. But anyway, it's going to take a little time. Let that cool down some. See you in a minute. All right, well, we welded it. What is that, like 3 feet? Takes a little while. Anyway. What I want to see is, because there was a gap, when you weld a gap it tends to pull. Let's see how much it pulled. pull the little, because, you know, not bad though, not bad. 'Cause I can feel the feeler gauge still touching on both sides. Catches right there a little. Yeah, it didn't pull as much as I thought. That's good. Wasn't gonna matter because, again, maybe moving this deck lid over, and this has to get cleaned up by body filler. So, all right, gotta do a lot of grinding now. Get that looking good. And be honest with you, once I do that, I can take it off, yeah, take it off and clean up the back side underneath and throw some epoxy on that and put her back on. Yeah. Okay. Looks a lot better than it used to, doesn't it? You know, that looks pretty straight. That'll look pretty straight. This looks straight. These edges, you know, that was factory, that little gouge right there. But, oh, looks good. Something we can work with. Happy mediums. All right, we got some welding done. We got some grinding done. And there it is. Looks pretty decent. Now, the back side, I'm not gonna say looks really decent, but I'll show you with the light. And that's why I wanted to come back in here and clean all that up and re-epoxy it, because it's ugly. And I know you had quarters on and already welded on, you can't take them back off and all that good stuff. I get it. You just have to crawl up in there, clean it all up, spray your epoxy on or brush it like some other people do, and be good with it. So let's close the trunk. Look at that. Yeah, that's wider than everything else, and you know why. And like I said, let's slide that thing over a little bit. But actually, you know, with body filler and all that other good stuff, and that's the difference, that much. Like I said, 1/16 of an inch. So looks good from the outside. It's a little wobbly, but it was wobbly to start with, so we're not going to worry about it. It's not terrible. It turned out better than I actually thought it was going to. This turned out well. I always try to get as much of that out as possible. The little edge of the weld, I just don't like any of it to show, because I've had really bad luck with weld showing. So anyhow, see you in a minute. Okay, so after that, been doing some getting the gaps, pushing the quarter over again, move the deck lid over a little bit, got this gap more where we need it, and when I say this gap, I mean this right there. This is a little funky. We're going to have to fix this, right, add something to this here. Got the gap over here a little bit bigger, back to where it used to be. And This one isn't, so we'll see what that does. Anyway, may have to mess with this up here a little bit more. Seems a little, anyway. So I'm gonna leave it right here. So I got that's close, little body filler. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it right here. I'm gonna end this video at this point because this is gonna go on for hours. I'll come back when, after I get that epoxied, cleaned up on the inside, epoxied, and ready to just weld on and have this line up. So we'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya.